Welcome. Good afternoon. Glad you could join me today on Go for Lunch. So let's get right into it. So today we're going to talk about Mac tips. So this is Go for Lunch number 112, brought to you by GoFor Technology. I'm your host, Roger Harmon. If you're new here, please type new in the comments so we can get to know you. And our goal, as always, is to make your technology work for you. So, did you know that this is National Paul Bunyan Day? There's Paul, and we're going to have a little quiz here. What is the name of Paul's ox? There you can see the ox, the blue ox on the right. What is that ox's name? So ways that you can celebrate Paul Bunyan Day is to wear a red plaid flannel shirt. You can make some flapjacks, or you can take a walk in the woods. So let's see if anybody has got the name of the ox. Okay, no winners yet. So if you know the name of the ox, type it into the comments. So a little bit more about Paul Bunyan Day. This is a Paul Bunyan statue that is in Tucson. So your next quiz is, what Tucson street was this statue on? I'm not sure if it's still there, but it was there for many years. And a bonus question is, next to what business was this statue located? So let's see if we got any answers here yet. No answers. Okay. Well, the name of the street was North Stone Avenue. The name of the business was either Leo's Auto Supply or Don's Hot Rod Shop. And it was actually at 2811 North Stone at the intersection with Glen. And here is another angle showing a classic neon sign for Leo's Auto Supply. So let's see if we have any answers here. Okay, we stumped you. All right. So let's get started with our tips for using your Mac. So the first thing is Find My Mac. Now the tip is to make sure that that is turned on. So to do that, you go to System Preferences, you go to Apple ID, you check iCloud on the left-hand side, and you'll have to scroll down a little bit and find My Mac and make sure that is checked. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we are in System Preferences. So we go to Apple ID up here in the upper right. And then we click on iCloud, which is already selected. And then on the right-hand side here, we scroll down just a little bit, and we see that Find My Mac is connected. So under Options here, you want to make sure that it's turned on. So you can see it says Find My Mac on. And Find My Network should be turned on also. So that lets you locate the Mac even if it's offline. So you can also locate your AirTags and other Find My compatible items if this is turned on. So you would want that turned on. Okay. So while we're here, let's talk about another thing that you want to check, and that's Keychain. Now Keychain is your built-in password manager that comes with all Mac operating systems. So you want to make sure Keychain is turned on. So while we're here, let's look at what else we have here. So you'll want photos. Mail is kind of funny. In some operating systems, if mail is turned off, you want to keep it off. Sometimes it can create duplicate mail messages. So if it's off, leave it off. If it's on, leave it on. So on contacts, calendars, reminders, and notes, when those are checked, then they will sync with all your Apple devices, your iPhone, your iPad, and your Mac. And then Safari will sync bookmarks. And then down here in the lower portion, if you use Apple News, that will sync stocks, Apple Home for HomeKit devices, and Siri. So if you don't use these three, News, Stocks, and Home, it's okay if you don't have those checked. It doesn't really matter either way. But I would check on Siri, so that can be compatible with all your devices. So just review here, make sure keychain is turned on, same procedure, system preferences, check Apple ID, check iCloud, and confirm that keychain is turned on. Let's talk about backups. Now this is something that you've heard about and something that people still get caught on, so we're going to review backups. So your primary backup will probably be your time machine. So time machine is an external drive, and it only works when it's plugged into your Mac. So if it's not plugged in, make sure you plug in your external drive dedicated to time machine. And of course, the reason it might be unplugged is because you have a MacBook and you've taken it away from your main operating position at your desk and used it somewhere else. So make sure when you bring your Mac back to the office, plug in that external drive. So many of you have Time Machine Editor set up, and that allows Time Machine to do a once a day backup instead of Apple's default, which is once an hour. So the whole idea is that it backs up in the middle of the night when you're not using your Mac, and it saves wear and tear on your hard drive. Speaking of hard drives, another thing to be aware of is that the manufacturers of those external mechanical hard drives expect them to last 3 to 5 years. So if you have a Time Machine backup drive that is more than 5 years old, you should replace it, especially if you have a Mac that is older than 5 years. You need to have that Time Machine backup drive renewed so that in case your Mac fails with its external drive, you have that Time Machine backup to restore to the replacement Mac. So another thing to consider about backups is the 3-2-1 strategy. So when that was originally developed by a professional photographer, it meant 3 backups, 2 different kinds of media, and 1 offsite. Now the original idea was to use CDs or DVD discs as your second kind of media. Over time, we've learned that those are not great archival sources. They wear out. So now my interpretation of this is the 2 types of media is the second type of media is your off-site. So when you do an off-site backup, that is backed up by the company more than once. So that gives you your 3-2-1 strategy. So one way to get that second backup is to use a program like Carbon Copy Cloner or Super Duper, which will clone your entire hard drive, including your operating system. So if your Mac fails, you can boot directly from your second external drive, which has one of these 2 programs on it, and be back in business. The offsite backup would be Backblaze. This is considered the best offsite backup by the Mac community. And it costs about $7 a month or cheaper when you subscribe for a year. And it will back up everything that's connected to your Mac. So if you have several external drives connected or flash drives, then it will back up everything connected to that Mac for the same price. There's no charge for a certain amount of data. Another critical thing about backups is you need to check and make sure that that backup is available so that when you need to restore something, you can do that. So one way to do that would be to establish a test file. So just create a test file in TextEdit and then delete it and then go into Time Machine and make sure you can restore it. So you need to test your backups to make sure that they're still doing their thing correctly and you can use them if in fact you need them. So here's another little tip. It's called recent items. A lot of people don't know about this. So to get to recent items, you go to your Apple menu in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, and it'll show applications on top, and it'll show files in the middle section. So let's go to that. So here we are. We go to the Apple menu and you see here recent items, and then you carefully go over so you stay in the same line, and you can see these are the last 10. You can set the number of recent items. Mine is set to 10. So these are the last 10 applications that I used, and then these are the last 10 documents or files that I used. So that's recent items is a quick way to get back to things that you were working on. So another nice little tip is to clean up your desktop. You can close all your app windows at one time. And the way you do that is you hold down the Option key and you click the red X on any one of the windows and it closes them all. So if we go back in here to the Finder and let's just open some more windows. Well, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to demonstrate it because it'll close windows that I need for our YouTube Live. But anyway, you would hold down the Option key and then click on the red dot, and it would close all the windows in one swift movement, like that. Okay, when you get your Mac from Apple, it defaults to hiding the scroll bars, which sometimes is kind of a pain. So if you want your scroll bars to always be there no matter what, you go to System Preferences, you select General, and then you click on the Show Scroll Bars option and choose Always. So let's show you that. Here we are. System Preferences. To get back to your main page of System Preferences, you can click on this little matrix of dots to show all. Then here's General. Now General may be in a different place on your system depending on which operating system you're using. And right here in the middle it says Show Scroll Bars, and as you can see we have Always checked. So if when you check Always here, that will keep your scroll bars always there, and you don't have to mess with trying to move your mouse to get them to come on, which is sometimes aggravating. If you need your scroll bars, you need your scroll bars. So here's another little trick. To minimize windows with a click, so in the title bar, which is at the top of any window, you can go to System Preferences to Dock and Menu Bar, and under double click a window, Windows title bar, you select Minimize instead of Zoom, which is the default. Zoom is the default. So if we go into our Finder, and actually we want to go into our System Preferences, and again we're going to go back up here, the little 4x3 matrix to show all, and then we're going to go to Dock and Menu Bar. So sometimes you get this drop down of all your choices in your System Preferences. Okay, and right here in the center you see it says double click a window title bar to zoom. So let's look at that. So here we are in the Finder, and the way that works is we have a small window up here. So the title bar is this area at the very top of a window. So if I double click up here, making sure I'm not on top of any of these icons, it expands the window. Okay, so now if I go back, so that's what they call zoom. So now if I go back to System Preferences and I click on Minimize instead, and now I'm back to my window, and I click on here, watch carefully, it minimizes. Now you can't see on the screen that it went down into the dock on the right hand side, but it did. So that's a great little trick. So just one comment. So many people I see minimize lots of windows, and give this some thought. You really don't need to minimize windows. What you can do instead is just use the dock to go to where you want to go next. Just leave those windows there, choose the next application, and just use the dock to get there. And then when you want to go back to those windows, use the dock again, and you can go back to those windows. So it saves a couple of steps of having to go back and maximize the windows that are sitting there in the dock. Just use the dock, choose the application. When you go back to that application, those windows will be sitting there. So just a little reminder, we all use Zoom, and Zoom is updated frequently. So yesterday Zoom was updated to version 5.11.1. So to update Zoom, you go into your Zoom app, click on zoom.us in the upper left hand corner, and then click on check for updates, and your update will appear, and just follow the on-screen instructions to update Zoom. So questions. So while you're formulating any questions, please remember to share the GoFor Gazette with other people that use Apple equipment. And if you have not already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on that little bell down there next to subscribe so you can be notified when we go live. So Susan has a question here. When she goes to Find My Mac, it says wait for network access is off. So that means that the Find My program won't be able to find things if they've been turned off. So when you turn that on, that means that they will report the last location that they were in. So that's why you want to have the network access on. And Susan also says, I don't see how to change the time machine default to backing up once a day. Okay, so that is in a program, a separate program called Time Machine Editor. So if you do Command spacebar to bring up Spotlight and search for Time Machine Editor, you can find that. But it's probably already set up. So I think I did set that up for you. So when you go to the Time Machine icon in the menu bar, it should just say that it backed up at 1 o'clock in the morning. So if you see that in the Time Machine icon in the menu bar, then Time Machine Editor is working. And Susan has a great question here: how to reset recent items to 10. Okay, good question. And okay, so we're going to go to System Preferences, and we're going to click up here, and you go into General, and down here at the bottom it says Recent Items, and then you can click on that. So your choices are 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, and 50. So I wouldn't think you'd want more than 10 or 15 in there. So that's how you reset your recent items to 10. And then you had another question. Okay, your time machine backups are every hour. Okay, so maybe we didn't get Time Machine Editor reinstalled. So you can give me a call and I can walk you through that. Or if you want to try it yourself, just do a search on the internet for a Time Machine Editor and install it. And then you click on Calendar, and then you can set it up for once a day and set the time. And then you had a question about how do I turn network access on. There's just a little, so if we go back into System Preferences, and we click on the Apple ID in the upper right hand corner, and iCloud is already selected, and we scroll, oh, we don't have to scroll down. Here's Find My. We click on Options, and you just click, so if this is off, then you just click here on Turn On next to it, and now it'll be on. And then you click Done when you're done. So I hope that answers your questions. So great question, Susan. Thank you very much. So if we don't have any other questions, if you think of questions after the fact, then my contact information, which is my phone number and my email address, are coming up here as we end. And so thank you very much for joining me today, and have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next week at high noon on Tuesday for another edition of Go for Lunch. Take care.